We winning. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Anthony Rose, and we are here live with the Keep Elevating podcast. I guess it's a visual podcast too. And I am blessed and highly favored by baby Jesus himself because the one and only international woman of mastery, the young mogul, Reesha Archibald, is in the building to sit down and talk with me and talk with y'all about all things about elevation and everything else that comes up in this conversation. I like to just meet up with my amazing group of friends and talk to them about everything they got going on in their career. And it might get personal, it might get friendly, it might get extraterrestrial. Who knows? But it's going to be a great conversation. So, without further ado, St. Louis's own, the Lou, Reesha Archibald. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for
awesome.
Taking the time.
Of course. Absolutely. I'll be remiss if I did not say Denver and St. Louis.
Oh, my bad.
My Denver extended family would be so mad at me.
They
if
would.
We did not shout out Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, and y'all need all the love you could get.
We do.
Because Miami put 70 on you. Are you a football fan?
I am. We don't have to talk about that though.
We don't. We don't.
We still the NBA champions though, so we'll stay focused on that.
That's true. My cousin's a Denver fan, and I was like, bruh. So when Russell left Seattle, he was like, bruh, you come to the games with me, you could, you get a split jersey. I said, nah, I can't do it. But then I saw that. But yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So how are you doing? You looking great.
Good.
Hair always great. Got the Air Force jacket on.
Yes, my daddy's man.
Hey. The vintage. Okay. So I guess the first thing, being that this is visual but also audio, is maybe just introduce the people and let them know who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. I'm Reesha Archibald, Reesha L. Archibald. I am a native of Denver, Colorado, by way of St. Louis, Missouri. My parents are from there, and we ended up back there when I was in high school, so that's home for me. I've been in LA for 12 whole years. Crazy.
Yeah, dang.
It's wild to say that out loud. I initially moved out here to do background vocals and acting, so I am absolutely a creative. I started producing film and TV independently back in 2015, and it just really took off from there. I booked like several commercials in 2016. Started doing network TV on the reality side, doing AP work in 2017, and then booked my first scripted job with Luke Cage, working under Cheo Hadari Coker, who's the creator of that show. I was the executive assistant to him for season 3 that never came out.
No.
Disney was like, no. Snatching everything before Disney Plus came out. And then like a month after I joined the Luke Cage team, I joined the A Bird and a Bear entertainment team, which is Eric Rohn and Cedric the Entertainers production company. I also have an extensive background in corporate government, doing supply chain logistics. So I really think that was a huge catalyst in preparing me to do production. Because when you boil down, it's all logistics, you know? It's all project management at the end of the day. So I went to Lincoln University of Missouri. There are 2 of them. Get it right, the real LU in Missouri. Small HBCU, big ups to LU. Class of 2004.
Okay.
I also pledged the best sorority of all of the sororities.
You're gonna give me in trouble with my swords, but
that'd be all right.
But I love y'all.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Amen to that.
I pledged in Spring 02 Alpha Theta chapter at Lincoln University as well. Currently a part of the Century City Alumni chapter here in LA. So definitely super proud to be a Delta. And just honored and blessed to be able to be in LA so long. Like people really don't understand how big of a feat that is. You know what I'm saying? So props to you for being here longer than me.
By a little bit, by
Yeah.
here, yeah.
But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Just been producing film and TV, like I said, since 2015, and it's been a wild ride, man.
Yeah, and I mean, like, props to you because, like, I'm always so extremely proud of you and so excited when I see you because, like, you just listed off like a storied career that like somebody in their 60s would want to be able to say, like, I've done all this, and you're so young and you've done so much. And I think the dope thing about you, whenever I see you, is it's always a smile, it's always style and grace with it, it's always edifying other people around you. So I guess my first question is, when you came out here to be a background singer, why background? Why not in front? And then also, what pivoted you from looking at just that to your next move?
I was always that kid. I'm a choir kid. My mama and daddy had us in some everything. They had us acting early. They had us singing early. We were in Spanish early. I regret not staying in longer.
Especially living in LA.
I'm telling you what. So anybody out there who is in a position where you can like be bilingual at an early age, stick with it. Please don't be better than me. Okay. But I was always that kid that really enjoyed choirs and harmonies and blending. And I started singing classical music when I was in 6th grade because I was part of the Denver School of the Arts. And so I learned how to do, read music and all those other things. We were singing jazz, and I was still, in choir at church and doing plays and musicals. We did Black Nativity growing up. And so I always, to me, more than one voice always was better. It's something about, singers know this. It's something about when those harmonies lock and that blend is crazy and those dynamics are perfect. Like, it's like heaven. Yeah. It makes me high, like legit makes me high.
I call it like those Diddy moments. Remember Diddy making the band? And they'd be singing and all of a sudden like they'd be like, yes, we got it, and the screen would flash like blue or yellow. Or like when you're on set and like everybody hits their mark and the camera pushes in at the right time and somebody hits the beat, and I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's heaven on earth for me. And so background vocals was always something I wanted to do. Like I remember watching like the Grammys or the AMAs and being like, how do you do that? Talking about the background vocals. Yeah, gotcha. Or going to live concerts, because my parents had us going to live concerts, ever since we were little kids. So I always be like bump that foreground stuff. Like, how you do the background? Yeah. And so my first background singing gigs, aside from choir, or like small ensembles, was a gig with a lady named Aloha Michelle in St. Louis in 2010. Okay. So I was working at Boeing at the time, corporate life, and her manager who went to Lincoln before I did. But we were cool, just know each other from homecoming and things like that. He hit me like, yo, Reesha, I need some background singers for Aloha. You got anybody? And I'm like, yeah, I got you somebody. Because everybody knows I'm connected too. Yeah, you are. So I know a lot of people who do a lot of different things, and that's one of my gifts, but also just really a blessing. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I have some people. He was like, you gonna audition? I was like, nah, man, I had too many things going on. Because I was managing an artist back then. I was working full time. I was in the choir at church and the praise team at church. Dang, I had a lot going on. Always busy. Yeah. I'm the same person I always be. Yeah. And but I prayed about it. Like when he set up the audition for the people I brought to him, he was like, you sure want to do it? And I was like, I thought about it, and what hit me was, girl, you've been wanting to do background vocals since you was 9 years old. Like, if you don't go on and do this, like, I'll make room for you. Yeah. That's what God told me. I was like, okay, I'll come. And so I went, and the audition wasn't even an audition. It was really like a jam session. Oh, damn. So they just wanted to see how you just flowed in and how you grooved. Okay. And so we sang with Aloha. Big ups to Aloha. Lowski. She's still doing her thing, killing it. we sang with her for like 10 months.
Oh, wow.
And that's my sister for life. Like, I just love her so much. She's one of the most brilliant singers I've ever known, and brilliant songwriter as well. But yeah, like I always knew that background vocals was what I wanted to do. And big ups to Gerald Haddon and Tammy Haddon. When I decided to leave St. Louis and come to LA to, pursue acting in backgrounds, Gerald hit me. Well, actually, Gerald was the one who was like, "What you gonna do?" Because I had lost my job. They had a massive layoff at Boeing in 2010.
In St. Louis or in Seattle, everywhere, right? I think I remember that.
2010, they let off like 10,000 people.
Dang.
Yeah, and I was affected by that. But it was a blessing in disguise because that's what really offered me the opportunity to leave St. Louis. And I remember Gerald saying like yesterday, like, "What you gonna do? You ain't got no job. You ain't married. You ain't got no kids." I was like, "Damn, Gerald."
Just read you the riot act.
My life feeling real bleak right now, bro. Yeah. And he was like, "Either you gotta go, if you want to pursue the arts, you gotta go to New York or LA. What's it gonna be? What you gonna do?" Mm. And I was like, "You know what? You're right. Like, if it doesn't work out, I can always come home." Yep. You know what I'm saying? And I had the strongest support system in LA. Because at the time I was managing an artist, and one of my business partners was here. Big ups to Curtis Conyers, and Stacey Victory, and Carissa, who was our artist, Carissa K at the time. And so we decided that we wanted to bring Carissa out here because things were moving with her. And then, it was just more opportunities out here. And so Gerald, the Friday before I left St. Louis, I was at a gig doing backgrounds for Coco Soul, who's now in Atlanta. And Gerald hit me and was like, "Hey, you want to audition for some backgrounds for Melanie Fiona?" I was like, "Yeah." Damn. And he was like, "All right, I got you." And so he connected me with Melantha. What's Melantha's last name? She's still out here doing her thing too. Big ups to Melantha. We're still friends to this day. But she hit me and was like, "Hey, I got your information from Gerald. Definitely come on this day. I got you." And that day was such an eye-opening experience for me because I saw how auditions went in this city. Yeah. And that audition was a closed audition, so you had to know somebody to even get in. And so I'm seeing people like Agape, who's playing with Beyonce right now. Okay. Eddie Brown, who's played with everybody. Tavia, I can't think of her last name. She's done backgrounds with everybody. Like, that room was nuts. Dang. And the reason why I knew that room was nuts was because after that audition, I was in the first group to audition, but I stayed until the very end. Mm-hmm. Just so I could just see. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And after that audition, I went to the Congo room and I went to different live music events. Or I went to church. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh, that person was at the audition. Oh, they was at the audition too. And oh, she was at the audition. Mm-hmm. He was at the audition. Dang." I was like, "Dang, that room was crazy." Yep. Had no idea. Yeah. But it was such an eye-opener. And I made so many friends who I'm still friends with to this day. Yep. Who I was able to build friendships with over time. And so yeah, coming to LA was definitely a great move for me. Of course, it didn't all happen, Yeah. It's a journey, right? But my first singing gig was with the Original Seven, which is Morris Day and the Time, but the original group. Oh, really? Yes. I didn't know that. Yes, that is my group. Gigolos Get Lonely Too? What? Yeah. Okay. They dropped an album in 2011. It was the fall of 2011. And big ups to Carla Carter, one of my St. Louis sisters. She was signed to Flight Time, which is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's label. Yep. And they hit her about doing backgrounds for them for their new album. And she was like, "Sis, this is not what I do. You already know." She's a dope songwriter. Oh my God. She has Grammys, all that. Worked with Usher and Janet and some of the most dynamic artists. But she was like, you wanna do it? And I was like, yeah, I wanna do it. She's like, well, send me some stuff so they can hear you sing. I was like, all right, bet. So I sent them what I had, and she's like, all right, they like you, let's go.
Dang.
And at the time, I was living in the Inland Empire because I was staying with Curtis and his wife, his then wife, renting a room. And I drove from Rialto to Woodland Hills every day for rehearsals. That's like a 70-mile drive, y'all.
Yeah, and that's like 70-mile LA drive.
Ooh, yeah.
That's like 3.5-hour round trip.
Yeah, it is.
Dang.
It is. But man, that experience was just amazing.
Yeah.
Like Morris Day really is that cool.
Oh, look, he's one of my favorite. I remember I was the first comedy tour I ever did was Cat Williams in 08. And we ended up, there was a show in Louisville right during Derby week. And I remember we had an off night, and I saw that Morris Day and the Time were performing. I was like, I gotta go. I went to that concert by myself, was like right up front, General Mission. Man. I was like, yo, this is, because also like, you got to work with an artist that came from that era of showmanship, of performance, of craft. When you hear all the stories of like Prince and the rehearsals, like I've heard him talk about that on Questlove Supreme, right? And it was like, we're gonna rehearse for hour after hour after hour after hour. So just to hear that your experience was dope,
oh my God.
Like it's dope.
And then being able to be, up under Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, like Carla, she of course is very close with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Terry Lewis, she calls him Uncle T, so we would call him Uncle T.
Yeah.
That man is so wise. Like sitting down talking to him was like sitting down at your uncle's feet, just like soaking in all the goodness. Like, oh man, that man, he may never remember me, honestly, but like that brother, he is a gem.
Dang, we gotta get him on the Keep Elevating podcast. I'm gonna put it in
figure
existence.
Something out. That brother there, I'm still like, I still pinch myself. Dang. Like that I've had these experiences. That was my first gig.
That's dope.
In LA.
Well, and I think like, it was the theme of the show being keep elevating, because I feel like in all things in life, like it's always we're always trying to get to that next level, right? And I think that's like a physical and metaphysical, space, like, right? And a lot of that comes from what you're saying is like not only you saying yes, but you saying yes to the moments as they presented themselves, and not allowing yourself to be scared. And you have that structure of the friends that were pushing you, and I think that's paramount. And what I want people to like understand and hope that they take away from this, that a lot of your elevation of success is about the people that you have around you. Absolutely. And also internal too, right? You have this confidence about yourself. So
yeah, that's paramount. I was talking to some kids recently on a panel, and I was like, guys, like the people you surround yourself with, that will make or break you. Legit.
Yep.
Like that is so important.
Yeah.
And I have friends who who said, oh, everybody got some, like as far as like not so good people around them. And I flat out say I don't.
Yeah.
Because my calling is too important.
Yeah.
Like God's purpose for us being on the earth is too important.
Yeah.
To be surrounded around people who don't recognize they have purpose. And who aren't striving to get there.
Yeah.
And who aren't showing reciprocity and, like you said, pushing each other to get to the next level. Like I could have never done that background gig without Carla. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she felt like she needed me because that's not what she do. You know what I'm saying? So I helped her be more comfortable. And in turn, I was singing with some of the most like revered artists of our time.
Yeah.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis?
Yeah.
What?
That's crazy. I never knew that.
Oh my God. Like, and again, they might not ever remember me.
Yeah.
But that will never, I will never ever forget that experience.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So going from working with them to then that transition into like the film and TV world, because you also you worked with some hitters, right? You went from that world to working with Chael and working with Eric and Cedric. Like, how was that transition for you? And within that transition, was there a time where you felt like, I don't know, this might be too much? And you had to, and how did you push past that?
Well, you know what? I'm such an advocate for using all your gifts and remaining open. Like, shortly after that time with Jimmy Jam and Morris Day and Terry Lewis and all those phenomenal men, and Carla, like, I was getting gigs here or there. You know how grueling it is. You know what I'm saying? Doing background work on filming TV shows and unemployment finna run out. You know what I'm saying? Not really sure when, but I just had a feeling it was finna run out. I was like, and I'm not really a TV watcher. I know this is our industry, but I don't really watch a lot of TV. But I was watching a lot of TV. And that right there let me know, like, I had way too much idle time in my hands. Like, and it was starting to get to me. And I was like, okay, God, like, what is going on? Like, I don't know what's happening. I need something to happen though. And so I just had a real talk with God one day. And I said, you know what? Like, I don't want to go back into the corporate space. But if that's the door that you want to open for me, I'll go through it. But please let it be in entertainment. But I put myself out there. I was like, you know what? I got to make sure I'm sustained. Like, I don't want to be out here calling my parents for help. Like, I made this jump. I need to make the best of it. I need to do everything I can to do what I can to survive. You know what I mean? And so I applied for everything. I have a supply chain logistics procurement background, which is a blessing because no matter what industry you're in, everybody needs procurement. You know what I'm saying? So I was applying to universities and all kind of fashion and entertainment. I mean, whatever I saw that I felt my skills could fit, I was applying for it. And I saw something on NBC Universal site that fit my background, and I applied for it. And I got an interview. I got 2 interviews. And landed the job. And I remember after doing the full day's worth of, well, not full day, but it was like probably a 3-hour interview because I went from person to person to person this particular day. So I think I did 3 or 4 interviews to get that job. So I had to get through HR first, and then they put me to the next level. Big ups to Terry Gibbs. That's my boo. She's the one who hired me. I was just open. You know what I'm saying? And I had a feeling that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I walked in, I had a good feeling about it. I had a good feeling about the interviews I had. And I knew, though, that going into it, it was not my permanent place. Right? That's not what I came to do. But in doing that job, and I was doing exactly what I was doing at Boeing. Same thing. So, like, to let everybody, like, remind everybody, like, no experience that we have is for no reason.
That part.
You know?
Yeah, because I think also, like, the world tries to box you in, like, especially in this industry, right? Like even hearing you say, well, supply chain and logistics, but also background singer, but also, acting behind the scenes and producing. It is okay to be skilled at multiple things.
Absolutely.
And my thing is always like, how do you take, if your main, like my main thing is feature film directing, TV directing. But in the meantime, I'm going to do whatever job I can that's going to keep me adjacent to the dream. So if it's hosting on camera, if it's doing photography, if it's ADing, if it's creative producing, if it's putting on events. And I think sometimes people get lost in that because then they make, the world will make you feel like you're not focused on that one thing. And it's like, no, like, I still got to figure out how to survive, but also how to feed that artist in me.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't feed that, and then you're doing something that you do not like at all, you're gonna be like, yo. But it's also finding that, like you did.
Absolutely. And recognizing like how this over here is a benefit to this over here.
Yeah.
Right? Because, NBC Universal, I mean, my position as a supply chain logistics agent in the Universal Pictures film group, that essentially funded my stay here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I could have went back to St. Louis.
Yeah.
And recognizing, like you said, figuring out how you can have what you really do feed into whatever it is you're doing. So, for instance, to your point, in every job I've ever had, I always found the Black Employee Network. Right? Because I'm really big on community service.
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom and daddy. That's how they raised us. Big ups to Delta, because that's our platform, right? And so I always found a way to give back.
Yeah.
Like every company I ever worked for, like I always made sure they had a big philanthropic sector of that company. If they didn't, I wasn't fooling with it.
Gotcha.
Because that's a big part of who I am. It's always who I've been.
Yeah.
And so NBC Universal has a great, outreach program, and they have a lot of affinity groups. And so the Black Employee Network was one that I joined. I had some really neat ideas, and the board, the leaders of the board pulled me onto the board.
Oh, nice.
And then I also became the co-chair of the community service outreach program. So it was my position with my girl Tara David, and we had to come up with different community outreach programs for our employee base. So we were making the company look really good. You know what I'm saying?
So, and that's another gem, right?
Yeah.
Is finding something that you love to do.
Yeah.
But nobody could do it like you, right? And so when you're adding more value to people that might not have seen that, now in turn, they eventually, you never know how it's going to come back, but they want to add more value too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I remember Pastor Ture one time said, like, where you plant the seeds, not where you might, you reap the benefits, right? And I think that's another really, really big thing when it comes to like whether it's marketing or relationships or work. Is like you went in there, said, I want to join this, and out of you taking that extra time, I'm sure an abundance of things happen.
Oh my God, what? Because the employee resource groups, they were company wide. So it was NBC and Universal.
Gotcha.
And everything in between. And we also had extensions to Comcast because Comcast owns all of it, right?
So you meeting all the production people, all the producers, all the...
Yeah. I'm meeting finance people from NBC. I'm meeting executives with the film group and NBC as well. And these are people I established lifelong relationships with. These are my people to this day.
Yeah.
And nobody, I think one person is still at NBC Universal. Everybody else is at Netflix or at Sony or at Amazon.
Netflix took everybody.
They took everybody. Listen, they was not playing.
That's why that strike took it forever.
Yeah. But man, like, to your point though, like, I had to make sure that I was feeding Reesha.
Yeah.
Because going to Universal Pictures Home Entertainment every day, managing Blu-rays and DVDs, and managing suppliers and managing quality issues and whatnot. Like, those are building my managerial skills, my people skills, my project management skills, my logistics skills. They were not feeding Reesha Archibald.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But essentially it was.
Yeah.
Because when you boil it all down, it's project management. And I remember praying, being like, God, what is this for? Because I'm over it.
Right? That part.
And years later, I was like, oh.
But that's like pledging too, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't pledge, but
I don't know what he's talking about.
But if you go through a process, and when you're in that process, you're like, what is this shit? And then years later, you're just like, oh, I could do this because I know I went through.
Oh man, what?
Yeah.
Like, y'all think this is something? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how I've been able to deal with certain talent I've worked with over the years. I'm like,
absolutely.
all I would hear was my big brothers in my ear. They're like, "You don't want this number 4?" I'm like, "Look, I've been through this before.
Come
like, I'm
on.
not worried
This
about
is
your little
nothing.
tantrum." Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then other life things, right? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like we all have different things that have happened in our lives that have shaped who we are.
Exactly.
All of that is for a reason.
Yeah.
All of it is there to help make our skin tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's there to show us how strong we are.
Yeah.
It's there to show us, like, adversities are there to show us who's really in our corner. You know what I'm saying? Adversities are important.
Listen.
What if everything was good? We wouldn't be able to appreciate God's grace and mercy and His goodness if everything
was good all the time.
Was great.
Absolutely. When I tell you, like, I feel like I spent all of August, like, after the vineyard, it was pretty much, I mean, I saw family and stuff, but I was pretty much to myself for a good month and a half, right? Mm-hmm. And even with the studio space, like, people are around when stuff is good, but when there's a little bit of adversity,
facts,
you see who's really in your corner. That's and who really, like, I liken it to, you just notice after a while who's around when, like, the jobs are coming in, when you're writing checks, when you're calling people, and then who's actually calling to say, "Yo, I'm just seeing how you doing," or "What's up? I'm just trying to kick it," or you know. And I noticed that, and it's par for the course. Yeah. It's part of being in this industry. But it made me realize to lean in more to the ones that I know are just there, right? And I think every so often you have those revelations, and sometimes it has to take some trials and tribulations and some frustration for you to, like, settle back in. Because I also think God at least did that for me, because it was like, you're about to go to a whole new level. So you got to, like, leave that stuff back there. Like, whatever that was, like, so you know where you're going. You can't take that with you. And it sounds so cliche, but it is so real.
I was literally having this conversation with one of my really close friends. You know Akua, Will?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen Akua in forever.
Yeah, it's my boo.
Yeah.
It was her birthday yesterday.
I got to call her randomly. I'm going to hit her up.
But we were just having a conversation about that with some friends, like, man, and it's a conversation I have often, I think. Like, everybody can't go. Yeah. Like, as God elevates us, elevate.
Hey.
I think about it like a rocket. Okay, right? Like, you have a rocket that's about to go into outer space. And the higher the rocket climbs, things fall off of it.
That's very true, yeah.
It just it's how it goes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good.
No.
As that rocket loses things, it's like fire. Like, the things are blowing up off of it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that pruning process hurts.
Yeah.
But it's necessary.
Yeah, and the rocket's also lighter. It's carrying less weight. And sometimes that's part of it. So yeah.
And it, again, just like some people are really here for right now. Some people are here for the whole time.
Yeah.
Some people are here for just this little second right here.
And that's the tough part too, because I'm like a lifelong friend person. So like, I'm the type, like, because the way I grew up, it's like, if I could, my mom, was the type to, every kid on the block was eating at her house or had a safe place to stay. And that's just how I'm built, is like, always wanting to have an open door. And, you know, but even that, you got to learn when to start cutting that off. But if I consider you a friend, no matter what, you're a friend. Like, I'm always going to treat you that way until you show me otherwise. I had to learn that, because it used to be, I would still be that way in spite of how you treated me. And now it's like, nah, like, you don't have to keep checking up on that person just because you feel like they don't have nobody else checking up on them. They'll figure it out. Yeah. It's not your responsibility. No, it's not. I know you got dinner. I won't hold you. I got like 2 more questions. Okay. So I do want to get into, and we might have to do a part 2 because this is great. The film and TV side of stuff, right? So, you've had the amazing experience with the music, and now you're working with, Cheo and A Bird and a Bear. From the logistical part, how did that translate? And also, what are your feelings of working in a male-dominated industry, working with prominent brothers that are already doing their thing. And I mean, I know what I think because I've had experience and I think they're dope. So what has your experience been like also to like the success you've had with the shows that you've been producing recently and all of that?
First of all, I got to shout out Charles Murray because in 2018, when I was, looking for work, as we do as producers all the time, I reached out to Charles because at the time I was doing more reality things, and everybody I knew who worked in reality, who built a career in reality, none of them meant to be there. Like everybody wanted to be in scripted. They just kind of happened that they fell into reality and it's good money, it's consistent, and they just kind of found themselves pigeonholed in it because, quite frankly, scripted folks turn their nose up at reality folks. And it's trash to me because essentially it's the same thing. There are some differences, sure, but listen, reality folks are some of the most resourceful people I've ever met in my life. So anytime I can figure out a way to pull somebody who's trying to get on the other side of scripted, I'm pulling them because I know there's something in them that we can use. That's very valuable. You know what I mean? So I had reached out to Charles and was like, hey, can you show me like the differences between scripted and reality? Because I know my skills transfer, like, because I've done it in the indie space, but when you're indie, you everything, right? So like, I'm just like, so I know there's a relation, but I just don't know like what it really looks like.
Because indie has you feeling like you might be missing a step, or you might be missing some type of protocol. It's the same as like not going to film school and being like looking at film school kids like, oh, you guys, and they looking at me like, but you're working, like you know what I mean?
Because I'm definitely not a film school kid. Like, I learned everything on the ground.
Same.
Big ups to Damian Smith. Like, I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot from Brandon Deese. Like, those two guys were the two people who reached out to me to help them with their projects. Like, I'm resourceful. I'm a connector. And Damien reached out. He was doing a feature doc in St. Louis and was like, hey, sis. He's from St. Louis as well. He was like, hey, sis, I'm doing this doc. I need your help. Like, I need people to interview.
Shout out to Damien, winner of Real to Real.
Yes. And actually, our feature doc won at Urban World. Yeah, 2021. But he was like, I need some people to interview, a location, and some lights. If you can get that for me, I'll give you producer credit. And I was like, that's what I am. I'm a producer. Got it. Because I've been doing event planning my whole life pretty much. And, you've been raised doing this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But you don't know how your skills transfer until somebody says, hey, can you help me with this? You know what I'm saying? And so D was the one, and then Brandon Deese, he put me to do a live music show called Record. He was like, I know you tapped in with the music community here in LA. We're doing this live music show independently, just give indie artists a platform, and we'd love for you to be a talent producer. I'm like, bro, I got you, no problem. What? Those were my two, experiences, and then doing more work with Damien, like, I learned about Shout List and just all these different things. But Charles Murray was the one who was like, come by the house, I'll break it down for you. So he devoted a Friday night and sat me down and literally went through A to Z on the differences between like TV, film broken down, low budget film, mid budget film, you know what I'm saying? High budget. Like, he broke it all down. And then, he was like, he knew that I was looking for work. And he reached out, he texted me out the blue, like, send me your resume. I ain't asked no questions, I just sent it.
Sometimes those moments happen and you just know ain't no question to ask. Just
be prepared. Don't always plan everything. But be prepared. And the next day, after I sent my resume to him, I had an email from Marvel saying, hey, we'd love for you to come interview with Cheo Hadari Coker,
Dang.
the showrunner of Luke Cage. And I was like, all right, great, yeah,
Yep.
I can come these days, whatever. And I emailed back because I was like, well, what's the job? And they were like, the executive assistant to the showrunner. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, sure. And I panicked because I'm like, I need an assistant. I'm not an assistant.
Yep.
At all. Like, my organization skills are trash.
Who you telling? I listen. Me too.
But I had a great conversation with Cheo, smashed the interview, followed up, sent a thank you note. Y'all, it's those little things that matter.
Yeah.
Like,
And
follow up. I followed up with Dan. Dan Shore, big ups to Dan. To check on him. But yeah, reached out to Dan. Was like, hey, just checking in. Really enjoyed, meeting you guys. Sent Cheo a thank you note. Please make sure he gets it. And he was like, it was great meeting you too, Reesha. Really enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully he'll make a decision by tomorrow or a couple of days. We'll let you know regardless. Thanks again.
Yep.
The very next day, he called me and emailed me because I missed the call. I didn't know who was calling me. And he was like, I have great news, call me. He's like, you got the job.
See? And I think that's a testament, though, also to being straight up about who you are and what your capabilities are, right? Because I think oftentimes, sometimes people go into a thing and they'll panic and they feel like they got to fake the funk. And like another cliche, like just be you, right? Because I had a similar experience with F. Gary Gray. A friend got me an interview. I was like, all right, I'll be there. And he was looking for an assistant. And I'm like, as we're talking, bro, this ain't me. Just straight up. I'm going to be honest with you. Because it's 6 a.m. and like organizing your stuff, I'm not that guy. And he's looking at my resume. He's like, yeah, it seems like, he's like, I see what you're working on. He's like, so it sounds like you need more of a mentorship. Because I came from the Robert Townsend world. And like, shout out to Robert Townsend. Because that was my master class. Like, I didn't realize how spoiled I was working with that man on my first 2 projects, but talk about setting the bar and it can never be topped.
He is amazing.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
And was
so humble. A gem.
Yeah. And with Gary, he was just like, sounds like you need more of a mentor. And I was like, yeah. And so he took me under his wing and I was office PAing and then shadowed him on Straight Outta Compton for most of it.
Wow.
But it was being honest in those moments, right? Of just being like how you told Cheo, like, yeah.
I didn't tell Cheo that. I just said, I internally said that to
myself.
Oh,
said to yourself, gotcha.
But I said, if Charles, if somebody sees the value that I bring to a situation, girl, go with it. You know what I mean? And get it together. Yeah. Like, if that's what the duty is calling, go do it. Yeah. Well, you know that you're not as organized as you could be. But so go get organized. Yeah. And I've had to be organized because I had to manage suppliers. I had to keep track of inventory. I had to do all these things. Yeah. So I had the administrative capabilities. Yeah. I just had to use them in a different way. I never used them before. Yeah. And by me keeping track of Cheo's organization, it helped me become more organized. So it really worked out for both of us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it was what I had to do. I had to just reel it in and get focused. Yeah. You know what I mean? Trial by fire sometimes. Trial by fire. Yeah. And then I looked at it this way, like, because I thought, like, girl, you're not an assistant. But then I said, but this is an end to the scripted side. That part. So bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Like, look at it from that perspective. Yeah. Like, God wouldn't be putting you here for no reason. Yeah. Like, there's something else you can gain. It's not really about you being an assistant. Yeah. It's about you learning around that. Yeah. And I was in the writer's room for 6 months on Luke Cage. What? Yeah, that's wild. A master class. Yeah. And Cheo, like, I work with Cheo to this day. Mm-hmm. It's a good brother. Oh my God. Yeah. I love Cheo so much. Yeah. He has been such a supporter of me and just a gem as well, like just a good brother. And then like a month after I booked Luke Cage, I booked working with Cedric and Eric. I've known Eric for years. Him and his wife, the Rome family, in St. Louis. We all go to church together.
Oh, nice.
And so Eric's like a big brother to me. So I would always let him know what was going on with me, whatever. So we were doing real to real back then.
Yep.
But Luke, and so I was like, "Yo, E, this what's going on. You know, just checking in."
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just letting folks know what's going on. And he was like, "Well, I'm in LA. Let's get together." So we linked up. And he was like, "Well, we just got this CBS deal, and we want to expand our team by 2 executives.
Dang.
And I want to pitch you." I was like, "Oh, okay." On the inside, I was like, I don't even know what that means.
Right?
But I was like, "Girl, go with it."
Yeah.
Because the thing of it is I was like, if Eric Rome sees something in me that adds value to what he's doing, go with it.
Yeah.
And learn along the way.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of times we self-sabotage. But we really have everything we need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it has been a learning process, but I was able to add a lot of value to that company.
Yep.
The first show that they sold was something that I brought to the table.
Dang.
Actually, 2 things that we've sold, I brought to the table. And let me reel that back. They've sold other projects, but Cedric had to be the lead in those projects or attached to them in some way.
Gotcha.
On camera in order to sell them. The project that I brought, he didn't have to.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So Eric really did see something in me that could add value to what he and Cedric were doing.
Yeah.
And I've been with both Cheo, Coker, and Cedric and Eric for 5 years each.
Dang.
Like, I don't know anybody who works for 2 production companies and it's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Like, or just in general. Like,
but I think, again, that's a testament to who you are, your character, your integrity. You know what I mean? Because those are often conversations like, you know, even me working in the comedy world and advising, consulting, creatively shooting stuff. Early on, comedians would be like, "Well, how is what you're doing for myself so different than this person?" I was like, "Because you are you, and we're creating a different strategy than we are creating for that." And what we're talking about stays here, we talk about stays here.
Exactly.
I am just here because I want to see you win. But I think that's the problem is a lot of people aren't used to people coming to them just being like, "I want to see you win."
Yeah.
Because if you win, I win, we all win. And also, this isn't my final landing spot. I'm doing this just to stay closer to the dream of being like, and while I'm working with you, in my head, I'm holding my skills on how to work with talent.
Absolutely.
And understanding the nuances and anticipating things and seeing how you like to work with other people. Whether you see that in me or not, I know what I'm here for.
Right.
And I think that's what you're doing as well. And that's why you're able to continue to do that.
Yeah. And going back to the other part of your question about working in a male-dominant industry, you know, I just, hey, bro, and hey, fam, everybody. Ladies, it works, okay? Because I'm not here for the shenanigans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, sure, I you know, I love men and I want to be married and have kids and all these things, but I'm very cognizant of the industry that I work in. And if I bat an eye too much or do this over here, show a little too much leg or whatever it is, I'm going to put out the wrong impression. So I make sure I keep it extremely professional. You know, I keep it cool, you know what I'm saying, and fun. But I make sure that people are very clear on why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And I want to get the job done. Period. And it's been a great ride. I'm an executive producer on the shows that I've done with Eric and Cedric. And I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. You know, having the ability and the authority, not for authority's sake, because I'm not a power hungry kind of person, but being able to share my insight on things, giving my input on scripts and casting and making sure all the deliverables are turned into whatever studio or network we're working with, giving input on music, giving notes while we're filming or, whatever it is. Like those things are things I never imagined I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Because I moved out here to do background vocals and acting. You know what I'm saying? And then being able to act on my projects on occasion. You know what I'm saying? Or sing on my projects. It's all encompassing. And really watching Cheo and Charles were the two people that really showed me you can do it all. You can.
Yeah.
Because Cheo, he created Luke Cage. He was a head writer.
Yeah.
He also was the EP.
Yep.
And he was a showrunner.
Yep. And
he was basically like the third music supervisor. He's a music head, And then Charles, same thing. Like he's a cinematographer. He does everything. He's a writer. He's a director. He put me in on a film that he did called The Devil You Know with Michael Ealy and Omar Epps and Glenn Turman, Vanessa Bell Calloway, and Will Catlett as the music supervisor for that film. Like, what dream come true?
Yep.
He had no idea that was a dream of mine.
Yep.
None. But it circled back around. And that's the thing, like, again, just being open and being prepared.
Yep.
My catalog because I sing, I'm a singer. My catalog is crazy. All my friends are artists.
Yeah. That's wild.
So and I have hella, music exec friends.
Yeah.
And then Philippe Pierre, who's my music supervisor on my shows, his catalog is crazy. So I'm like, and he was my mentor in the whole process of like doing music supervising.
Yeah.
So I've been able to speak on panels, at Georgia State University about music supervising. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Dang.
Oh God, wow. I pinch myself every day. And really. But to everybody out there, I would say, like my oldest brother said to me years ago when I was looking for jobs, because I was working for the federal government back in 2006 in Omaha, Nebraska. And I have business degrees. I have,
I mean, what does she not do, ladies and gentlemen?
I have an MBA in management. I've done a lot in these 41 years. But I say all that to say, like, you have to be open.
Yeah.
And when God is telling you to do something, just go do it.
Yeah.
Because you never know how it's going to inform your next move or be a blessing to somebody or be a testimony to somebody or be an encouragement to somebody.
Yep.
Or, like, we have to be obedient too because our lives are attached to other people's lives too.
That part.
And when we're not operating in obedience, we potentially are derailing not only our own lives, but the perfect will that God has. Like, God has his permissive will and his perfect will, right? My goal is being his perfect will. I ain't trying to be in his I've been in his permissive will before. I don't want to be in that space. I don't like that space.
Yeah.
But like, even in that space, he allows us to get back on the path, but we don't really realize like how our lives are associated to everybody else's in our lives.
Yeah.
And when we're not operating in obedience, we are prolonging potentially somebody else's path.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not perfect by any means. You're not perfect, right? But we're intentional about how we move.
Yeah.
We're intentional about how we treat people.
Yep.
We're intentional about what we do and what we put our names on.
That part.
We're intentional about like how we operate and doing things in excellence and making our culture thrive and look good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we're intentional about those things. Yeah. And when God says go, we gotta go, man.
Yep.
But one thing my oldest brother said, going back to my initial point before I go, I was looking for jobs, and I remember I was looking to go back to St. Louis. That's where I wanted to be anyway, out of grad school. But again, I was open to going wherever God opened the door, right? And it took a year for my job to open up at Boeing. But God sustained me in Omaha until that thing opened up.
Yep.
So we have to know that God is allowing us to be in these interim spaces until the next thing opens up, right?
Yep.
And so maintaining gratitude and working hard even in the midst of adversities, because that also shows God that you're grateful, right?
Yeah.
But my oldest, when I was looking for jobs, I was like, I see this procurement. I remember them vaguely talking about procurement.
Mm-hmm.
Procurement is just a fancy term for buying, y'all. But I was like, I vaguely remember them touching on procurement. But I looked at the job description and it looks like I could do that. Like it seems easy enough. But I was like, but I don't necessarily have all the experience per se that they're saying that I need. And my brother, big ups to Greg Evans, that's my oldest brother. He said, Reesha, if you think you can do it, go for it. You let them tell you you're not qualified. You don't disqualify yourself. He told me that in 2006, and it sits with me every day. So I give that to everybody who's watching this podcast, because it's easy to look at what you feel like you don't have, and you forget about all the stuff, the meaty stuff that you do have. And you don't really realize how your skills transfer until you get into that thing and be like, oh, I have done this before. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I sit in that and I own that and I breathe that and I walk in that. And that is what has really allowed me to do everything I'm doing right now. Because being a producer was never on my radar. I came to Los Angeles to do background vocals and acting.
And now you background, getting checks, scoring, producing, acting, everything.
And being a blessing to people. Like people telling me, oh my God, thank you for this opportunity. Like it's because of you looking out for me that I'm able to do this, this, and this.
Man, well, I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. And I am of you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So what's the best way for people to continue to support you, follow you, see what you're doing?
I guess, can't really talk about my shows right now because we're on strike.
Yeah, for a couple more days.
Hopefully they'll get the SAG contract together. Please, God. But check me out on my social media. It's on Instagram. It's just Reesha, Reesha. And you can kind of dig through my socials and see what I'm working on. I can't talk about it, unfortunately. But I did promote before we shut it all down. So,
Hey, we're going to end on that word right there. So, again, I'm Anthony Rose, joined by the amazing young mogul, Reesha Archibald. This has been the Keep Elevating podcast. And as always, keep elevating.
Keep elevating, y'all. Keep elevating, no matter what. Keep elevating.
This was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you.